So do Tessa and Hardin get married? Depends who you ask. Short answer is, in the movies, yes. In the books, no. And if you only read it on Wattpad, you might be unsure. The third story on Wattpad is called After 3, and it ends with Hardin asking Tessa to elope, and then it's kind of like a cliffhanger, right? But the fourth book, actual physical book, called After Ever Happy, just like the movie, it goes several years into the future. It goes like 2 years, 2 more years, 2 more years, 10 years. Like, it goes into when they have 2 kids that are teenagers, okay? And they're still not married. Now, of course, the fifth movie, After Everything, ends with Tessa and Hardin reuniting at Landon's wedding. I don't know why I said his name like that, but they reunited at Landon's wedding and had their moment, and then he proposes to her, right? And then they do a flash forward in the future, and he's got a wedding band, and she's pregnant, and all that jazz, so meaning they're married. I'm gonna explain the shit out of this. In the book series, Hardin is 1000% against marriage. He lets Tessa know he does not believe in marriage, wants nothing to do with it, and does not plan on ever having children. But Hardin offers to marry Tessa for the very first time after she picks Hardin and her dad up from the bar. So at this point in time, Hardin and Tessa are living together, and they've already been through a lot because it's Hardin and Tessa, but he is already aware of her plans to move to Seattle. So while drunk, he tells Tessa that he will marry her if she chooses him over moving to Seattle. Tessa really only mentions it to him like one time after that because she knew better than to take it seriously since he was drunk. Hardin brings up the topic of marriage again after Tessa's father passes away, and he flies all the way back from London to be by her side, and he says he realizes like how bad he wants to be there for her and help her, and he offers to marry her again, but Tessa makes it very clear that she does not want marriage to be used as a way to repair things or like clear things up between them. Like she doesn't want it to be like his like last resort as like an apology, because like that's not romantic, is it? Now, Tessa really struggles after her father passes away, and she and Hardin are not back together, but she uses Hardin as a distraction, which he gladly goes along with. During their physical activities together, Hardin repeatedly asks Tessa to marry him, and she's like, hey, we're gonna have to stop this if you don't stop asking me that. She's having none of it. I would have totally folded. Now we're at the point where Tessa's supposed to move to New York with Landon. She tells Hardin if they're ever going to have a chance at being back together, he needs to give her space. She decides to spend the summer at home with her mom prior to moving to New York, and just kind of takes a break from that whole family. So as Hardin is saying his goodbyes and getting ready to send her off to her mom's house, he tells her that he's going to do this one last thing for her, this one last break they're going to take. And whenever it's over, they're going to be together. That is it. She will marry him. Fast forward to Tessa now living in New York with Landon, and Hardin comes to visit for his meetings and such. Things get steamy in the kitchen, just like in the movies. They're having a moment cooking. They get steamy in the kitchen, and he stops Tessa and says he's not going to have any physical contact with her until she is 100% ready to be with him and marry him. Well, the next night, I guess they just can't resist each other, and they get together, and afterward, Hardin was like, hey, basically, by doing that with me, you just agreed to marry me, and she does not protest. But of course, like later that day, she finds his manuscript, and they split up again. Over the next 2 years following the manuscript debacle, Hardin eventually moves to Chicago, Tessa's in New York. They spend a few nights together, they visit with each other whenever they're around each other's area. Remember, we're talking about the books here. So Tessa and Hardin eventually reunite at Landon's wedding. They have their moment in the bathroom. They have a little chat afterwards. They both agree that they're inevitable, may as well get married. Hardin proposes. Now, in the book and on the Wattpad version, Hardin suggests that they leave Landon's wedding and elope to Vegas to get married. In the Wattpad version, it ends with Tessa agreeing that the drive to Vegas is enough time to like think things over and get comfortable with the idea. But the books go further than that. In the book version of After Ever Happy, Hardin and Tessa leave the wedding. They go on their little road trip to Vegas to elope. A few hours down the road, they stop at like a gas station, take a little pit stop, right? And Hardin looks at her and realizes she deserves so much more. Even though Tessa's like totally on board with eloping, and she knows he knows that she's doing it for him, he's like, I want to give her the flowers and the dress and have her whole family there and have everybody get to witness like our love and our marriage. So Hardin doesn't say anything. They get back in the car. She falls asleep, and when she wakes up, they're back home in Washington, and she's like, oh my gosh, thank you. I love you so much. As the books continue to go years and years in the future, Hardin's like, this crazy girl is still refusing to marry me. Tessa gets to the point where she's just like a free spirit, and she's like, what do we need a title for? What do we need a contract? Why should we have it in, on paper? Like, and this makes Hardin crazy, but he's like, in every sense of the word, that is my wife. Like, for all intents and purposes, that's my wife, no matter what she says. And so even in before, when you get further glimpses into the future, they're still not married. I know there's talks of like Anna Todd saying she has another book to release, so maybe like way down the road in their relationship they get married or have some kind of ceremony or something. That'd be kind of cool. But where the books end, and they get to where like their two kids are pretty much in high school, they're like 12 and 17 or 18 or something like that. They're still not married, so